Olympic Committee.
Hang on, Riley. I'll come to you, Riley. Hang on one sec. Cheng, I'm just going to ask you one more time. If they do another test, as I believe they absolutely should, to preserve the integrity of the Olympics, which promotes fairness and inclusion and equality, but is not doing that to women, if they do another test and it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you accept that that means they should not be competing in women's sport? Yes or no?
So for the Olympics, she would still qualify, but I would disagree with the Olympics. I don't think she should compete in women's sports if she has XY chromosome. No, but Piers, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, our positions are not at all unreasonable. But you guys, you don't even know that she has XY chromosomes. It's totally made up. But you are so obsessed with this trans issue. You mentioned you have a 12-year-old girl. I have a 12-year-old girl. I don't mind if she competes against trans girls in junior high and high school. What are you going to do? Check the genitals of all those kids? What are you guys, nuts?
Really?
Now, at the professional level, that's a different story.
I do mind. I can't believe that. So you would be quite happy
go check the genitals of all the kids, you lose.
You'd be quite happy for your daughter to get beaten by biological males. Completely insane. There's a whole reason, by the way, we separate the sexes at the Olympics. You know what it is? If we didn't, women wouldn't win anything. Let me go to Riley. Riley, as the only elite athlete, I believe, amongst us today, correct me if I'm wrong, panel, but Riley, you watched that whole press conference. I didn't get the feeling it was just the word of one raging Russian loon, because I heard a lot of non-Russian accents getting involved as well. It doesn't change the fact, as he said, they were found to have XY chromosomes in a test. They had a chance to appeal that to avoid being banned, and they chose not to appeal it. That is so damning. And even if it isn't, even if it was all terribly unfair, as Cenk and Wajhat would like us to believe, do another damn test then. Show the world you're actually biological women. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Riley.
Absolutely. We see a lot of information being pushed out there that these are just cisgender women with elevated levels of testosterone. The IBA made it very clear they did not do testosterone level testing. They never did that, not even one time. We don't know what these athletes' testosterone levels are. What they did do was test the karyotypes of these athletes. The only requirement was that these athletes had XX chromosomes, and they failed the test. No, they haven't come out and explicitly said these athletes have XY chromosomes, but that's because the Algerian and Taiwanese Olympic Committee have refused the IBA to release these results. I mean, the requirement was have XX chromosomes, and they failed that. Therefore, let's use intuitive thinking here. Let's use our brains. We all have them. That means they have a Y chromosome. And if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male. I mean, do we need to send like half of the population back to sixth grade biology?
You just admitted that there is no such test.
They just admitted there is no such test. And they failed.
It's never been shown.
The requirement was two XX chromosomes, and they failed. And they failed. Because of the Taiwanese and the Algerian Olympic Committee, they're not allowed to explicitly say these athletes have XY.
You know what?
Go watch the 30-minute. It's a 30-minute, very brief.
You're going to keep saying everyone's lying, but the answer is just do another test and show us. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Let me bring in Michael. Michael, I think
you could make up anything. You could make up anything and then demand a test.
They were literally banned from the World Championships.
True. So
they were banned from the World Championships
by the IBA. A bunch of lunatics who've now been decertified.
So why didn't they appeal?
Because not just because of this, because they make up things one after another. This guy's totally so. Guys, look, we have to have the bare minimum of agreeing on facts and evidence. And Riley just admitted there, and you've admitted, Piers, that there is no such test, that it's never been produced publicly. You're taking the word of a guy who seems to be a total raving lunatic, no matter where he comes from. Okay.
So why didn't they appeal the ban?
So then your big thing is, I've accused you of a, hold on. So your big thing is, we accused of her of a thing that doesn't exist, and now she has to prove that it isn't true. Well, that's an absurd standard. I could accuse you of 1,000 things and demand that you prove that it's not true.
This is where you're being so disingenuous.
When did you stop beating your wife,
I'm going to bring Michael in, but hang on a second, Cenk. You're being so disingenuous. Because the truth is, they were both banned from the last World Championships because they failed a sex test, which is rightly said. Fine, but they had a chance to appeal, but they didn't. They took the ban. They accepted the findings of the ban, or they would have appealed it. That's the bottom line, which means they're male. They've got a Y chromosome. Yes, Riley.
80% of the female athletes at the Olympics.
The particulars here.
Hang on, let Riley go first, then Michael.
80% of the female athletes. 80% of the female athletes at the Olympics are in favor of a simple cheek swab to test sex. Over 80% of the athletes, female athletes.
Takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. You do literally a cheek swab. That's it. And then you establish, are they male or female? Michael, I think you've got a more overarching solution to this.
I do, actually. But before we even get to that, which I think was simple enough and it worked a quarter century ago, I have this question for Cenk, because it seems like we're getting so bogged down in the particulars. What exactly are this fighter's chromosomes, and what leagues are credible in ascertaining this question? But you just said, Cenk, that you would have no problem with your daughter engaging in a sport, even we're discussing a combat sport, with someone who has male biology. And what people find so disturbing about the Imani Caliph story, I think, is the notion that a man is punching a woman in the face. So if you say you have no problem with this, with men, people with the biology of a man, even fighting women, even playing sports with women, do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
Yeah, so I'm glad you're asking the question, because I said it, and let me double down and clarify so that no one's confused about it. So my cutoff is high school. The reason why I fought with the left is beyond high school, especially in contact sports, you are risking not only the women in that ring, but you're also risking trans rights. Because the minute that a trans woman knocks out a biological female in a way that is significant, right, and does real damage, trans rights are going to be set back 50
Hold on, though. I want to be clear, Cenk.
And I don't want that. I want to protect the trans community. Hold on, can I just answer the question?
You're saying,
hold on.
I just want a little clarification.
Guys, in high school,
you're saying an 18-year-old man should be able to punch an 18-year-old woman in the face. 18 is fine. 19, that's when it gets
What boxing is there in high school? What are you talking about? In high school, there are no contact sports like boxing and MMA. If you're talking about wrestling, that's about as much of a contact sport as there is. So in high school, look, guys, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. First of all, this affects 7 people. You're being ridiculous. And the reason you're talking about that is because you don't want to talk about higher wages and health insurance for everyone. But if you want to talk about high school, what you have to do in order to let me just goddamn it answer the question. Can I just answer the goddamn question? So in high school, you're trying to find 7 people that you think is a problem. Oh, okay, apparently I can't answer the goddamn question. Okay, listen. What you're doing is you're saying in order to find the 7 trans girls out there that are so dominating these sports, which is not even true. Leidecker is dominating swimming way more than any trans woman is on any sport.
I'm not going to test her testosterone. I'm not going to test all that stuff. But in terms of the high school athletes, I'm not going to go and ask all the state officials and government creeps to go check the genitalia of our daughters so that they could ascertain whether they're trans or not. This is a trans witch hunt, and I'm not going to stand for it. Okay, great. Good for you, Cenk. You're not going to worry about whether blokes are beating up women. Great. Michael, what's your bigger solution? Did I just say that? I said on the professional level.
I hate to sound like a far-right conservative.
I know your trans hate has taken over your body so much.
I'll wait for Cenk to finish.
I have never hated trans people. I think trans people are entitled. I think trans people are entitled to the absolute same human rights as everybody else. And I've always promoted their rights to fairness and equality. Right to the point it actually erodes women's rights to fairness and equality. Michael, final word to you.
Thank you. I know this is going to sound like a far-right, crazy, conservative answer, but, we're all defending the great tradition of women's boxing. That did not exist in the Olympics until 2012. Women's boxing didn't exist pretty much anywhere until 1998, 1999. I'm all for women's sports. There are great sports and wonderful women athletes. To me, I think it's kind of distasteful to watch women get their heads cracked in. So call me old-fashioned in that way. But I think maybe certain things are better left to the fellas, and catching blows to the head maybe would be one of them. And then we could circumvent this whole debate.
On that bombshell, thank you all very much indeed for joining me. I appreciate it. But let's just not forget that there are going to be 2 people who are alleged to be biological males winning Olympic medals in women's boxing. And those are medals which I believe should be going to biological women, or just women, as we used to call them. Anyway, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.